Hello. Darshan sir, I am completely
Ah,
audible
yeah.
now.
Yes, yes, audible. Please share the PPT.
Okay, now PPT is visible.
No, PPT is not visible.
Okay.
Just do the present now, so all the participant will able to see the PPT.
Now it is
Yes,
visible.
yes. Now okay. Just do the slideshow. So now it's okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are here for some presentations or an webinar on repairs, rehabilitations, and retrofitting of RCC structures. So, as everyone knows, whatever the structures are constructed, it will goes under repairs, rehabilitations, or retrofit under its life cycle. So today we will discuss about uh, what are what are the causes of distress, what are the techniques to investigate the distress, and what are materials and what are the techniques to repair RCC distress structures. So initially we will start with some terminology. As everyone knows, we should clarify the definitions of words. So what you will say repair? Repair means what? Repair means it's a process of reconstructions and renewal of existing buildings, either wholly or a partly. Rehabilitations. Rehabilitations is an upgrade required to meet the present need. It implies sensitivity to building features and sympathetic matching of original construction. Restoration. Restorations is a more restrictive term than the rehabilitations. It suggests the replicating the structures as originally built. This term is commonly applied to the buildings of the historical values. Strengthening. Strengthening is a modification of a structure, not necessarily a damaged structure, with the purpose of increasing the load carrying capacity or the stability with respect to its previous condition. Retrofitting. Retrofitting is an upgrading of certain building systems, such as a mechanical, electrical, or structure, to improve the performance functions or appearance of the structures. Now everyone knows concrete is one of the most widely used construction material in the world. These are the some figures we will see. In India, there are 1,50,000 bridges on highways and railways. There are several buildings, heritage structures, dam, etc., which are old and need to be maintained and protected now. So repairing and strengthening is a more viable option than the rebuilding of the structures. The cost of the repairs due to the corrosion only is around 200 billion Indian rupees, and this amount is around 4% of the GDP cost. So from this we can have idea of this field. Now we will see how you will decide and how you will know when to repair or when to renovate the structures. Means when you are doing a changes in the structures, changes in a use of the structures, you are upgrading a structural, mechanical, or electrical systems, or there may be a deteriorations of the building envelope, structural damage or failures, upgrading the building for the lateral loads, reducing serviceability problems. Serviceability problems, there are some like changing of windows, changing of your other serviceable systems. Government mandates. When the government mandates will be changed, according to that, you need to change or repair your structures. Another thing is undoing the effects of the Bosch renovations. Means if the renovations in the past is not done in a proper manner, then again you need to repair or renovate the structures. Other things is preservation of the historical property. At that time also you need a repair and the renovating of the structures. Now we will see the causes of the deteriorations. Why structure get deteriorated? So we will see the causes and the symptoms. What kind of symptoms you will find in the structures. So from that you will find the structures deterioration. The causes for the deteriorations. So you will see uh, some parameters, means like abuse of the structures, the use of the structures. If it is not done in a proper manner, it also causes a deterioration to the structures. Chemical effects. Due to the chemical effects, structures may get deteriorated. Due to mechanical uses, also the structures may get deteriorated. Due to poor construction activities, due to faulty designs, due to physical causes, due to inferior material, use of inferior materials also cause a deterioration to the structures and the natural calamities. Now we will see these causes in more details. What are the symptoms? Let's discuss what kind of symptoms you will find in the distressed structures. So you can find the delaminations of the concrete, you will find the cracks in the concrete, the spalling of the concrete, the rust on the reinforcements. This is also symptoms of the distress. Steel yielding, staining of the rust, swelling of the concrete. These all are the symptoms of the distress of the structures. Now we will discuss all causes in some details with the photographs. So you will find what kind of causes may lead to the deterioration. So which kind of causes may lead for the deterioration. So first we will see the if there is a design fault. In design also there are the many kind of faults like a poor detailing, improper joint designs, improper cover designs, congestion of steel designs. So from this photographs you can see if your detailing is poor. So this kind of things can be happen on the sides. The beam column detailings are not properly done. This is the congestion of steel. Congestion of steel means without designing a spacing between the steel bars. If you have provided such kind of designs, so your concrete will not be poured properly and it will get deterioration in the concrete. Improper joint. This is the breech structures. You can see if your breech joint is not properly designed, so this also causes a deteriorations in the structures. Improper cover. If you have not provided proper cover to the structures, it will cause a very adverse effects on the concrete. These are also some faulty designs. So this is improper design, due to that pier settlement is done. If there is a not properly joints are provided in road means infrastructure projects or in a road constructions, at the time of designing, this inefficient joints may cause this kind of cracks in the structure. Now some we will see the poor construction practice. So this is a site photographs which gives you some idea regarding the poor construction practice. Means if you do a poor construction on the sites, what kind of problems will arise in the structure. So this is this column beam is not properly constructed. This kind of honeycombs, if you are not doing a proper concreting, this is also one of the poor practice causes. Column out of plumb, and this column is not in the plumb. So this kind of defects may cause due to the poor constructions. This is also one of the example of misaligned column. Some people are changing the position of the column. So up to the plinth level, this column directions in this way. From above the plinth level or some other level, this shifted column positions in this manner. This is not advisable And these are all the examples of the poor construction practice. Due to improper curing, if you are not doing a proper curing after construction, so this kind of cracks will generate in the structures. This is the one example of non-engineered formwork. This is a very industrial construction. The height is very high, but they are using a single props. So this kind of props using in a heavy constructions will lead to a failure of the structure. Now we will discuss about the chemical effects. What are the chemical effects? Chemical effects means carbonation of the concrete, chloride attack. Due to the chloride attack, your steel will deteriorate in this manner. This is the sulfate attacks. Means if sulfur is present in your concrete or near about area, so this kind of deteriorations will happen to the concrete structures. There is a one another chemical effects, means alkali silica reactions, means your aggregates are not proper. If it contains a silica, then such kind of problems will arise in the concrete. So this is the example of the carbonation. Carbonation cause, we will see in the detail how the carbonation will occur. So this is also example of carbonation. Now, what are the factors affecting carbonation? Your grade of concrete, your permeability or porosity of the concrete, your concrete cover, and what kind of coatings on the concrete, and the environmental conditions, the temperature and humidity. Due to all these factors, the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere, which penetrate into the concrete and it reach to the steel members and it cause a corrosion in the steel. So this is some thumb rule, or you can say experience values are given with the age of the structure. Means if your age of the structures is 10 years, so there will be a chances of depth of carbonations may be around 17 mm. If your age of the structure is 30 years, then the depth of the carbonations may be 30. This is a general data given. And with the age of the structure, means the 100 years, if your structure is 100-year old, so there may be a possibility of depth of the carbonations may be around 55 mm. Now, what carbonation do? Due to the carbonation effects, it reduces the pH of the concrete. Generally, the pH of the concrete should be greater than 9. So, when the carbonation occurs, the pH of the concrete will reduce. And the carbon dioxide will penetrate into the concrete. It reaches to the reinforcement and it leads to a corrosion of the reinforcement. So carbonation occurs in a highly concentrated area of the industrial areas, polluted area, in the urban also, means in the highly dense areas. If presence of carbon dioxide is more, then carbonations can affect to the your structure. Another photographs we have seen due to chloride effects. The chloride present in your water, chloride present in your sand particles, that chloride leads to a corrosion of the concrete. Means if your steel is affected due to the chloride attacks, so you can find such kind of pitting corrosion on your reinforcement. So you can have an idea after seeing the which way the corrosion happened on your steel bars. So you can take a judgment. Means if your corrosion is due to chloride attacks, it is due to carbonations, or it is due to some other reasons. This is also a detailed photograph of chloride attack on reinforcement. These are the some side photographs. So where you can see this, all the concrete cover is delaminated from the structures. This all white particles you are seeing, these all are the chloride. And due to the chloride presence in your concrete, it deteriorates the structures by itself. This is also some photographs of slab deterioration due to the chloride attacks. This is a water tank, huge water tank, and that RCC structures is deteriorated due to the chloride presence. Sulfur attacks. The sulfur may be present in coastal regions, highly affluent region, and due to the sulfur, this kind of cracks will happen to your RCC structures. You can see this presence in a soil, presence of sulfur in the soil. It start deteriorations in your columns from the baseline, and such kind of crackings will occur in the RCC structures. This is the pipe supporting pedestal. This pipe supporting pedestals is affected due to the sulfur attacks. So what happened means, if your sulfur is present in the ground, the sulfur from the ground, it reacts with the water with the presence C3A of the cement, and it forms expensive tricalcium aluminosulfate, and it's called attrigen. And this leads to a formation of the cracks, such kind of cracks due to the sulfur attacks. This is the photographs of alkali silica reactions. Means if your aggregates are not a good quality, and due to that, if they react with the cement and the water, and such kind of cracks may arise in your structures due to the alkali silica reactions. So sometimes people may get confused with the shrinkage cracks, alkali silica reactions, cracking, and the sulfur crackings. So that can be diagnosed with some detailed testing also. This is the photographs of alkali silica reactions. You can see this beam structures. So such kind of cracks patterns forms in the alkali silica reaction. If people are using an inferior material, means inadequate ductile steel, it may get a failure due to the shear failure of the steel structures. These things we have seen reactive aggregates. Now we will see the physical causes. What kind of physical causes deteriorate the RCC structures? Physical causes means this plumbing line. This plumbing line goes to the very near to your beam structures, and due to the moisture movement and the leakage, such kind of plantations started to grow into your RCC beams, and this leads to a deterioration of your RCC structures. Plastic shrinkage. When you are casting a concrete, at that time, if you are not taking a proper care, then also such kind of plastic shrinkage cracks will appear in your concrete surface. Due to very high temperature, this concrete is affected, and it leads to a changes into the reinforcement. So you will see due to high temperature, this concrete bonding is get affected. Now we will see the distress due to the natural calamities. Natural calamities like earthquake. This is a photographs of failure of bridge pier due to the earthquake failure. This structure's failure due to the tsunami. And this structure failure is due to a fire in the structure. So fire, earthquake, tsunami, this kind of all natural calamities also affect to your structures. So you must have to design your structures according to your region and according to possibilities of calamities. Now we have seen the causes and the symptoms of the distress. Now how to investigate? Means if you have seen the structure is deteriorated, but you don't know how to investigate the structure distress and how to define the categories of the distress of the structures. So we will discuss some what are the investigation methods to find a problems or causes of the distress. Now first we will see the field investigations. Field investigations mean the visual inspection. And first step of the investigation is to study the existing drawing of the structures, to study the existing design loads on the structures, the existing member size, and existing material properties of the structure. So this is the first initiations of the investigations of the distress of the structure. Now further we will go into the detail. Then it comes from the visual inspections to a testings. So there are many methods are available for a non-destructive testings and the destructive testings of the concrete. So these are the examples of the testing methods. The hammer test, everyone knows. In your college also you are studying this rebound hammer. This cover meter is also to find out the presence of the reinforcement and the cover of the concrete. Rapid soluble chloride analysis, phenolphthalein test for the carbonation, half cell potentiometer, resistivity meter, permeability test, ultrasonic test, petrography test, infrared thermography, and ground penetrating radar methods. So these are the listings of the testing methods. Now we will discuss in some detail. So this is a normal hammer trace. With the normal hammer, with the sound of the concrete, you can also take a judgment of some idea about the basic idea of the concrete surface. Further, you can take a rebound test. From the rebound number, also you can check a concrete quality. So if your concrete quality means your rebound number is more than 40, then you can say your concrete surface is very good and very hard layer on the top surface. Means if your rebound numbers are decreasing, if your rebound number is very less than 20, so you can say it is a poor concrete. So on the delaminated surface, you can have a reading of the 0. So you can say it's a totally delaminated concrete. This is UPV test. So these are the transducers. You can apply on the both the faces of the surface and you are taking a velocity. So from the value of the velocity, you can have an idea about the concrete quality. This ultrasonic test will not give you a strength of the concrete, but it gives you an idea about the quality of the concrete. If your results are less than 3, then you can say your concrete is very poor. There is a presence of honeycombs in the concrete. If your readings is between 3 to 3.5 kilometer per second, so you can say it's a satisfactory concrete. If your results is more than 3.5, you can say your concrete is good or a dense concrete. And your results are more than 4 kilometer per second, then your concrete is very good and dense concrete. Half cell potentiometer. This half cell potentiometer is used to find out the rate of corrosion of the reinforcement. So this is a setup of a half cell potentiometer. You are taking some impedance results, and from the impedance results, you can take a judgment of corrosion of the reinforcement. So this is the table where you can see according to the your results, you can find out the rate of the corrosion. It's a low, intermediate, high, or severe corrosion. This is the concrete resistivity. This instrument is the concrete resistivity. If you measure your concrete resistivity, so you can find out the probability of the corrosion. So if your resistivity results are more than 20,000, so you can say there is less or negligible possibility of the corrosion. So if your results are less than 5,000, so you can say your corrosion probability is very high. Rebar locator. This is also one tool from which you can find out a rebar location, and if your rebars are not in a proper location, so this also cause a deterioration, and you can find out the cover depth, and from that results you can say your concrete is relatively corrosion prone or resistant or resistive to the corrosion. The next method is phenolphthalein test. This is very simple test for your concrete deterioration measures. You apply your phenolphthalein to your concrete sample, and you can see this alkaline concrete color will be a pink color. And if your concrete color is not pink, so you can see this is carbonated concrete or it's an acidic concrete. So this is the test method from which you can investigate or identify your damage possibilities. This is also a chloride analysis test. So you are taking a sample from your concrete. So you are taking a sample, you are drilling into RCC members, you are collecting your concrete dust into some samples, and this samples goes to the laboratory to find out the chloride contents into the concrete. These tools are the crack measuring tools. Means when you are investigating on the sites, so you should know the width of the crack and the depth of the crack. So using this kind of tool, you can measure and you can keep a watch on the width of the crack. So this is the digital crack gauge, and this is crack measuring magnifier. This is the latest techniques to investigate your structures with the infrared camera. So you can see this is the infrared cameras, and when you are using this kind of tool, so in this picture you are seeing this red things is showing some temperature differences. So from that you can have an idea about the leakages, you can have an idea about the porosity of the structures. So this is the latest technique to identify the leakages in the concrete and the heat analysis. When you want to do a heat analysis and the audit of the structures, so this kind of tools used for the investigation. Now we have seen all the investigation methods. After investigation, what you will do? After investigations, you will decide repair techniques from the results of your investigation, and what kind of materials you need to be used for the repairs of materials. Now we will see what kind of repair materials are available in the markets and what kind of repairs techniques which we are using for the distress repairs of the structures. Now first we will see what kind of factors influencing to decide a repair methodology. After investigations, you will find the type and extent of the damage. So this is one of the biggest factors to decide the repair methodology. Another factor is the environmental conditions. Your structure is in which kind of environment. It also affects to decide the repair methodology of the structures. Another factor is the loading pattern. Another factor is shape and the function of the structure. When different kind of structures in a use will get repair with the different methodology and with the different material. So presence of your structures means your structures is underwater, underground, overhead. This factor is also deciding repair materials and repair methodology in a different way. Another factor is importance of the structures. How much important your structure is. If your structure is so much important, or if it is a heritage structures, so you have to do a restorations to these structures. If your structures is not that much importance, so you can go for the demolition of the structures. If your structure is medium importance, so you can decide your repair methodology according to your importance of the structures. The another factor is time availability. In how much time you need to get structures repaired. So this time is also a factor to decide a repair material and the repair techniques. Another factor is economy. This is a biggest factor to decide a repair material and repair techniques. And last is aesthetical considerations. When you are repairing any buildings or structures, if you deal with them aesthetic, then also a repair material can be changed and techniques can be changed. So what are the repair materials available in the market and what are the conventional materials? You should know about a repair material. So conventional materials, you know about the regular mortars, concrete, granites and shotcretes. But nowadays in a new generation material, you can find the polymers, epoxies, polyurethane and injection grouts. These all are the new generations repair material. This UV grouts is underwater grouts, underwater epoxies, anti-carbonation coatings, ECAM techniques, composite fibers. These all are the new generation repair material. We will see in details about some repair material also. So these are the some photographs of the repair materials. This first photographs you are seeing, this is the epoxy mortar screed. Means the floor slab is repaired using this epoxy mortar. This is a polymer mortar. This is a modified polymer mortar and this is the unmodified polymer mortar. Modified means some kind of chemicals, some kind of additives are added into the your mortar. It converted into the modified mortar. So these are the some photographs of materials available in the market. These are the liquid polymers. These are ready polymer mortars available in the market. Now after seeing the repair material, now we will see the general techniques by using you do a repair to the structures. So what kind of techniques are available in the market to get structures to be get repaired? So first thing is graniting. Another thing, grouting. Another techniques is polymer mortar, concrete replacements, concrete jacketing, micro concrete encasements, epoxy mortars, Epoxy steel plate bonding. This is also one of the good techniques used for the slab repairs. External pre-stressing, composite fiber wrapping, and ECAM repairs. So these are the general techniques which are available in the market to know about repair techniques. Now we will see all the techniques with the photographs. So you will have an idea what is gunniting, what is injection grouting, what is polymer mortar repairs, and what is concrete jacketing. So we will see with the some side photographs. So this is the techniques we seen. This is the gunniting on a shotcreting. So this is done with the pressure pumps. You have delaminated all the loose concrete from the surface. You have done a treatment to your steels, and after that you are applying a repair mortar using with the shotcreting techniques. This is the injection grouting. Means when your structure is cracked or it is a porous, means if your slab is porous, if your column beam structures is cracked due to any reasons, due to shear cracks, due to failure in concrete, means if your concrete is poor, then also you will find a cracking in the beam members or the column members. So at that time you need to apply this kind of techniques to get a repair. So you drill some holes, you fix some nozzles, and from these nozzles you are injecting a different kind of materials to make your concrete more dense. This is the photographs of masonry repair, or you can say in the masonry cracks. If you do this kind of injection groutings, then also you can stop or strengthen the masonry, and you can stop leakage from the wall. Another techniques, concrete stitching. Concrete stitching can be used when your settlement kind of cracks, when there is you are attaching a concrete members, means concrete members is fail into the shear. At that times you are using this kind of techniques to get it repair. If your concrete is cracked, so you are stitching your concrete by using this technique. So you are providing a main reinforcement in this part, and in this part then you are attaching to the concrete. This photographs is seen for the polymer modified mortar application. So you can see in these photographs, this is the bridge pier, bridge pile cap, and bridge girder. This is repaired by using a polymer modified mortar. In second photographs, you can see if your slab is deteriorated, if your slab reinforcement is deteriorated due to any kind of reasons, means due to chloride defects, due to carbonations. At that time also you can apply polymer modified mortar for a strengthening system. So what you are doing, you are removing old concrete, you are treating a steel, or you are providing a new bar also, and after that you are applying this polymer mortar to the slab surface. This photograph is of example of the concrete jacketing. So this is a sunken beam. This beam is highly damaged at the end due to a leakage or due to any other reasons. So if you want to strengthen your beam sections, then you can do a jacketing to the beam sections and the jacketing to your deteriorated slab sections also. This is the example of column jacketing. means when you are using a micro concrete, then this is the beam sections. We have done a shuttering and we are pouring a micro concrete into the formwork, and with these techniques you are strengthening your beam and column members. So you are using a micro concrete as a material, and you are using such kind of formworks to do a jacketing of the column. So in these photographs you can see this is old column, and you are doing a jacketing by providing a additional steel surrounding to the columns, and you are doing a formwork, and then you pour a micro concrete or you can pour a normal concrete to the formwork, and you can do a jacketing to the structures. This is the example of the steel plate bonding. Means if your slab is deteriorated or it is due to any kind of deflections, means if your slab is deflected or if your beam members is deflected due to some reason, so you can apply such kind of techniques for the repair and rehabilitation. So in this you can see this gray, this is the steel plate, this is your slab, and your steel plate is bonded with your RCC slabs with the anchors, and this steel plate is also coated with the epoxy materials to avoid a further corrosion to that members. This is also one another techniques, steel banding. This is rarely used techniques and very old techniques. So in this photograph you can see this columns is strengthened by using a steel band. This beam sections is also strengthened by the steel bands. So these techniques you can use in the industrial or some infrastructure projects. You can use such kind of techniques for the strengthening of the RCC structures. This is the composite fiber wrapping techniques. So this columns is strengthened by using a carbon fiber. We will see this technique in detail later on. This is the ECAM techniques. This ECAM techniques means the insulations of the sacrificial zinc anode for the corrosion protection. This round circular element you are seeing, this is a zinc anode. Means if your steel is corroded, and after treating this, if you are putting a zinc anode, then in a further case your steel will not be get deteriorated. This zinc anode will deteriorate and it will protect your reinforcement. So these all are the latest techniques, and this zinc anodes, you can use this kind of zinc anodes in a new construction also. At the time of casting, if you are providing a zinc anodes in your formwork, it can prevent a corrosion of your reinforcement. So in these photographs also you can see this zinc anode is bound with your reinforcement. In a new structures also you can bound a zinc anodes. This is also one technique to strengthen a piers in a sea structures. This is the jetty structures where highly corrosive environment is there. In that kind of deteriorated RCC structures, this is life jacket techniques are used. These are the large size of zinc anodes which prevent a corrosion of reinforcement in the steel structures. Now we have seen techniques and the materials, which kind of materials. So again, we will see in the tabular format what kind of repair techniques and what kind of materials can be used in that repair techniques. So we have seen the injection groutings. When you can apply injection groutings, means which kind of distress is there, then you can use the injection groutings. So there will be a cracks or a porous in the concrete. To arrest a leakage, you can do a injection groutings, and you can use epoxy, polyurethane, and cement, microfine cement as a injection grouting material. Gunniting, we have seen. So gunniting, when you can use a gunniting techniques to replacement of the concrete cover, reinstate a damaged area, and in the gunniting, you can use the shotcrete materials and admixtures at the time of gunniting. We have seen the jacketing. When you can use the jacketing, which kind of distress, the reinstatement of the extensively damaged concrete members. At that time, you can use a jacketing techniques, and jacketing can be done by using a micro concrete and other normal concrete also. The stitching techniques we have seen. These techniques can be used for the crack in the concrete, in a, or you can say settlement cracks. When the settlement cracks in RCC members or a masonry, you can use the stitching techniques to repairs. And in the stitching, you can use epoxy grout, polyester cement to get it repair. External pre-stressing techniques, when the concrete members are cracked, girders are cracked, so you can use the external pre-stressing techniques, and in that HST bars and anchors can be used. Micro concrete encasement that we have seen, epoxy steel plate bonding that also we have seen in the photographs. So this techniques is also used for the strengthening of the weakened members or a deflected members. So in that you can use the anchor grouts and epoxy bonding materials. Another techniques we have seen the composite fiber wrapping. This kind of techniques can be used in when your structures is buckle, deflected, or you need a strengthening of the structures. So in such kind of distress, you can use a fiber wrapping system. And in the fiber wrappings in the market, there are the glass fiber wrappings, carbon fiber wrappings, aramid fiber wrappings, such kind of fibers available in the market for the fiber wrapping. And the material selections is also depend on your damage of the structures. When some columns may be strengthened by using a glass fiber, or you can use a carbon fiber for the columns and you can strengthen your beams with the glass fibers. So such kind of combinations can be used in the strengthening techniques. We have seen this ECAM repairs also to prevent a long-term corrosion. Means if you want to prevent your steel members from the corrosion, you can use this sacrificial anodes and the life jackets for the structures. So we have seen a causes, we have seen the symptoms. After that, we have seen the investigations methods. After investigations, we have seen the selections of the materials and the techniques of the repairs. Now we will see a one application in detail, so you can have an idea as a student. So how the whole applications is done on the site. So now we will see carbon wrapping techniques as an example for the repair methods. So what you will do first the chipping and the removal of the deteriorated concrete from the surface. When you are using a carbon fiber wrapping, so first you need to remove a deteriorated concrete from the surface. You have to chip a concrete cover if required. After removing of the deteriorated concrete, you reinstate a surface with the polymer mortar. After reinstating of the polymer mortar, in some areas where your concrete is sound, but you have to apply a fiber wrapping, in that area you need a scrapping of the concrete. So with the grinder machines, you need to scrap your concrete. After that, you will do a rounding of the edges of the column. Means if your column is rectangular and you are applying a carbon fiber wrapping system, so you need to round your concrete edges, otherwise your fibers may cut with your edge of the concrete. So you can see in this photographs, after rounding of the edge, such kind of difference you will find. After rounding, you need a surface preparations before applications of the primer on the surface. So you can do a surface cleaning by using a such kind of brushes, or you can do with the blower machine. After surface preparation, you are going to apply a primer on the surface. So epoxy primers. So this is the epoxy primers, and you are mixing epoxy primers. This is also means if your concrete have some pores on the surface, so you must have to fill that pores by using a epoxy putty. In this photographs, you can see your surface irregularity. Means if your surface irregularity is more than 1 mm, so you must need to make your surface properly sound with your epoxy putty. So this epoxy putty is used into a porous of your concrete. You can use a epoxy putty at the edge to make your surface round. So after epoxy putty application, you can apply, or you can take a cutting of your fibers as per your required design and as per your required needs on the surface. So this is the first application of the primer or epoxy saturant before applying a fiber wrap. After saturant application, you are applying a fabric. So this is the carbon fiber. So you are applying a fiber wrap on your column, and after fabric application, this kind of rollers are used to make it properly bond with your old RCC structures. Means to air should not be there into your layer between the RCC and the fiber. So such kind of rollers should be used for removing of air from the surfaces. This we have seen. And after applications of first coat of carbon fiber, again you need to apply a second coat of epoxy saturant on the surface, and then you can apply another round of carbon fiber. So this is the sequence of application of carbon fiber wrapping on your column sections or on your beam sections. So we have seen one method of repairs in this. So I think you all have idea about your materials. You can have idea about the techniques of the repairs and what are the factors affecting distress of the structures. These all things we have seen. So in a general criteria, what we should not do and what we should do, that we will see. Means in the field what people are doing. Because in the field, if your balcony is open, it is given as an open balcony, then it should not be converted into any kind of bathrooms, or you cannot change the purpose of the balcony. Because if you are changing the purpose of the balcony, it leads to a deterioration of your slab. It will lead to a deterioration of your cantilever part, and it leads to a failure of the structures. So this is also one another example. Balcony converted into the rooms. You should not cover your balcony into the rooms. You should not use a fountains like of structures or a pots into the balcony areas, because this all leads to extra weight on your slabs. This all moisture will lead to further deterioration of your RCC members. So this is also one example. If your terrace garden is there and below there if there is a beam, so your beam should be covered with some support of RCC wall or maybe of masonry walls. This kind of practice should not be done into the field if your terrace garden is there, because your deteriorations into your RCC slabs or maybe in the RCC beams due to the leakage, it will lead to a failure of these systems very fast. And if you are providing this kind of supporting system, so it will take longer time to get deteriorated. This is a photographs of flat A and flat B. Means if somebody is purchasing this flat and they have purchased the flat B also, after purchasing this flat B, they want to make this hall very large. So they want to demolish in between columns or in between obstructions like a beams. But this should not be removed without permissions or without consent of the any structural engineer. So this kind of things you should not do into the field. This chamfering of the parking columns means if builders has given a rectangle columns, but if there is a obstructions into the parking or for riding a car or turning your car, so some people chamfer the edges of the columns. This kind of practice should not be done into the field. And this is the very basic things you should do when you are constructing any kind of wall. So you should keep in your mind the wall should be on the beam only. Your wall should not be on the slab section. So you are seeing here, this should not be done on the slab section, because your slab section is not designed for the load of the such kind of wall as a point load in this area. So your all wall should be on only on the beam only. So this is the basic things you should keep in your mind, so you can prevent further deteriorations in your structures. At last, we can say prevention is the better cure than the deterioration. So if you want to prevent your structures to get deteriorated, you must have to take a preventive care at the time of constructions, in maintenance of the constructions. If you are taking a proper care, if you are painting your structures with every 5 to 7 years, if you are maintaining your structures in a short period of times, so your structures life will be increased with the regular maintenance. So thank you everyone. I hope you have a good idea about your repairs and rehabilitation.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Vijay bhai, for your informative session. We have 2-3 questions in the chat box. I will read it out. One first question is, in footing PPC cement. In footing, PPC cement can be used. In case used means what precaution to be taken, sir?
PPC cement in the foundation.
हाँ नहीं, footing.
Means in
Hmm.
foundation,
Hmm.
if you are using a PPC cement, means when you are using a PPC cement in any kind of construction, you must take care of means the quality of the fly ash, because PPC cement is made from the OPC plus adding of the fly ash into the cement. So the quality of the fly ash is most important in the PPC cement. So you need to check a quality of the fly ash, and the control means percentage of the fly ash with that, because if your fly ash is a very fine, so it will increase the fineness of your cement, or and if you are using a mass concrete for the foundation, and you are using a very finer material, then the surface area will be more, and the more fineness of the fly ash or the cement particles can lead to a more shrinkage cracks. So you need to take care of the quality of the fly ash and the percentage of the fly ash in your cement. Is it clear?
Next question is, how are zinc anode placed? Are they placed as if we place cover blocks?
Yes, zinc anodes you can put like a cover block into your structure, but you need initially, means with the cover block we are not providing any kind of cover to our cover blocks, because if you want to provide a 25 cover, so you are using a 25 cover block as a cover block into the concrete formwork. But zinc anode you should place little bit in the depth of the surface, so you can provide in the columns or in the beams at the mid span, or in the slabs you can provide it on the just bottom of the your steel mesh. So some concrete cover should be there to zinc anode also.
How to deduct aggregate is free from reactive type of silica?
How to
How to deduct aggregate is
uh,
free from reactive type of silica?
you can have idea with the tastings, means if you find white spots on your aggregate, so these all are the infected aggregates, or you can taste in the laboratory for your silica test of the aggregate. So after laboratory test you can say your aggregate is perfect or not.
One participant from Afghanistan had asked the question, is there any retrofitting technique for footing?
Yes, there are many techniques for the retrofitting of the foundation. Means when you are strengthening any kind of structures, so you must need to strengthen the foundation of that structure also, because you cannot strengthen only column or beam at that time. You need to strengthen the foundation of the structure also. So when you are using a foundation strengthening techniques, so you can strengthen the foundations with the jacketing of the foundations, or you can increase the size of the foundations. So depends on the requirement and location, the availability of the presence of your repair availability. Means in some areas you don't have a space to excavate to strengthen a foundation, so you can strengthen the foundations with providing another piles nearer to that foundations, and you can support the structures. So there are the many techniques that structural engineers can design the remedial measures to strengthen the foundations in a very different way. You can strengthen the foundations with the fibers also. So what kind of deficiency is there in the foundations, After that, you can decide the repair methods in the foundation.
If FCK of concrete is less, chloride attack is more or not?
FCK is less, then your chloride attacks is more, because means if you are using a M20 grade of concrete, then the density of the concrete is less, and if you are using a M30 grade of concrete, then the density of the concrete is more. So more dense concrete, then the chloride attacks, any kind of attacks possibilities are less, and with the lower grade of concrete, the possibilities of your ingress of any kind of moisture into a member is more.
Presently, many issues in the apartments and the storage structure are revealed due to leakages issues. Which method do you prefer in this regard?
Generally, we prefer first the investigations of a leakage in a proper way. So I have mentioned some techniques of thermography. With the thermography of the structures, you can have a good idea about leakages and the penetrations in your structures. So in your residential towers, the leakages from the your WC, maybe from the bathroom areas, means from the wet areas, you can say. So you can check your all wet areas of the structures with such kind of techniques, and after identify a proper leakage, then you can have an idea of the damage of the structure.
Calcium chloride is used for acceleration in concrete. Is affect the chloride attack?
No.
Should we evaluate exact recovery of structure after repair and rehabilitation? How?
You can have a idea of a strength, means for that what we do initially before starting of repairs, you have an investigation with the testing. So you have done a core test, you have done ultrasonic test on the structures. So you have a results of your inferior structures before repairing. So after repairing, you will do a same kind of testings on the structures. Means you will do a UPV again, you will have a rebound hammer again, and you have a core testings on the members after repairs. So with comparison of that results, means before and after, you can find what kind of improvement you have find. I mean, you get in the structure.
What is the best possible strengthening method for load bearing wall?
For the load bearing wall, you can use uh, fiber strippings. Means this carbon fibers or glass fibers members or laminates is used for the strengthening of the RCC member. Sorry, you can say masonry members, because in the load bearing structures with the old, means if you want to increase the capability of the load bearing structures, so generally we do a laminate or a fibers repair on the load bearing walls, because in the load bearing structures most of problems comes from the openings. Means in the load bearing structures all the openings are most important. Means if you are doing a new opening in the load bearing wall, so your structures will get affected. So before doing any kind of new opening in the load bearing structures, you need a strengthening of your load bearing wall, and then and only you can do opening in this wall.
Any other questions from the participants? What we do for water leakage in RCC structure?
In RCC structures, we do injection grouting. So in RCC members, we first stop a water leakage by the PU injection groutings, and then we inject a means you can say a solidified PU. Means there are the different kind of polyurethane materials are available. First thing is the form based polyurethane that stop your leakage, and after that you need a structural material which gives you strength to your members, because this form kind of PU, it not helps into the strength of the structures. So if you are doing a injection grouting into the columns and the beam members or in any kind of slab also, so first you must have to stop the water leakage by different kind of materials, and after that you should apply a epoxy or a PU for the strengthening of the members.
Sometimes bentonite clay is used as grouting material.
Yes.
Can you please tell about something about it?
Bentonite is used for the strengthening of the soil. Means when you are doing soil stabilization, if you need to, when you are doing excavation, at that time you require your unexcavated soils should be in proper shape. So you require a bentonite slurry injection grouting in that soil, so it stabilizes your soil and it helps in excavation. So you must have seen that pier foundation, means the bridge piers and this all over bridge pier foundation. They use a bentonite slurry to form a hardened part on the soil surface around it before your casting.
Uh, what we do for reduce the slab bending?
You can provide a supporting systems or of means you can provide a steel structure supports like I-beams, girders, channels, or you can provide a plate bending systems which we have seen in our presentation. So due to which reason your slab is bent, first we need to identify our cause of bending. Means if your member is bent due to a corrosion of the reinforcement, means if your reinforced corrosive reinforcement is totally, means if your corrosion of the reinforcement has deflected your slab, so then you need to first support your slabs. You can provide us RCC steel supporting systems to your slabs, and then you can do repairs of your slab. You can repair by fibers laminates also. We have done one project, means the slab is little bit of deflected and the cracks into the slabs, that members is strengthened by carbon laminates.
Which is more advisable, epoxy resin or polymer resin?
Resin means you can say this. These all are the polymers. Means if you are saying epoxy, polyurethane, these all are the polymers. So there are the different kind of polymers. Means the polymer, in polymer there are the acrylic polymer, styrene, butadiene, rubber. This is also a polymer, and epoxy is also a polymer, but the name of the polymer is epoxy. So polymer means in acrylic, every polymer has some limitations and they have a different strength. Means your normal polymer, which you can use for the strengthening of your mortar. So you can use an acrylic polymer. Means the acrylic polymer has a longer chain than the SBR, and they are the UV stable polymer. But if you are injecting, at the time of injection, you can use epoxy materials, and epoxy mortars have a higher strength than the polymer mortar. So how much strength you require, according to the requirement of your repairing strength, you can decide normal polymer mortar, or you can decide a epoxy polymer. Because with the 10 epoxy mortar applications, you can have a higher strength of 60 grade of strength you can achieve. But the same strength you can achieve by a polymer mortar in the thickness of the 3-inch thickness. So depends on your remedial measures, you can decide material.
Any other questions? I think all the questions and the query we have solved. So now we are concluding the session. So I'm thankful to Vijay sir for delivering such a wonderful session. In his session, he has explained about the various type of materials which are used for the repairing. He has also explained about the main difference between the repair and rehabilitation of the structure. And basically, he focused on the characteristics of the repair material, how to measure the crack using various instruments, various cement-based repair material, various polypropylene-based repair material, and how to increase the durability of the structures. Sir has also explained about the method of injections of repair material. Sir also covered the shotcrete, grouting, then ferro cement, and the various application methods in detail. And he also covered the deficiency in the structure requiring the seismic retrofit, design philosophy, and techniques to enhance the structure. So, on behalf of Civil Engineering Department and all the participants, I would like to thank Vijay sir for delivering such a interactive and the wonderful webinar. I hope it will beneficial to the young engineers, faculty members, as well as the consultant, those who are working in this particular area. So once again, thank you so much. And based on the request of some of the participant, please share the presentation so that I can send the PPT to all the participant by email.
That we will do later. I will
Okay.
send you.
So now we are
Thank you, everyone.
now we are ending this session. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you.